Something big is brewing in Montreal right now, as Montreal's at the center of so many trade rumors, with this week expected to finally pick up with these trade talks. The Mason McTavish talks have been swirling around the Montreal Canadiens, not only in the past week, but over the past few months. We have to dive into the most recent reporting, get info from you guys, get your input on what you would give up for him, because that is one of the biggest points of contention right now. But it's not just that we got to talk about. When it comes to something big brewing, we got Ivan Demidov here cooking in 3v3. Not only that, though, we have Demidov sending passes to Patrik Laine himself, and Patrik Laine taking these one-timers. Laine working with Demidov constantly on and off the ice, showing one of the potential best units. If it's a power play, if it's a line, we don't know. Coming up in Montreal this year, we have to discuss Montreal's top 5 ranked D Core. Brought up the wrong picture, that's okay, and much, much more. So much to get into on this live episode of Habs Digest, and welcome into the stream. Thank you all for being here. We got so many people. We got channel member Mark Quintal, we got WL, we got Real Hoopty, we got the Poiriers, we have so many people. Joseph, our channel moderator. We got so many things here. Jesse, again, like, it just feels imminent now for something big to drop surrounding the Montreal Canadiens, because we know things are building up. We see these practice footage, like Laine and Demidov working together. We see the rumors swirling for McTavish, even some other names like a Huberto in a crazy article today we're not going to touch on, but linked to Montreal. How you feeling now? I feel like we're finally in the month, finally in the week, where like soon we're going to start hearing these rumors pick up pretty quickly.
We're getting there, and don't be fooled just because we're seeing some footage of Kent Hughes at Xhekaj, rocking out the Killers. He's still putting in that work right now. But, we know one thing, Josh, about Kent Hughes, like, he's not going to stop believing until we really get that player that we really deserve. So you have to feel like he's taking his time, but par for the course. August is when some things really get cooking. So I just have a hard time feeling, Josh, like, that he's just put so much work into this team and kind of accelerating them and getting to them to where they are ahead of schedule to really take his foot off the gas now.
Yeah, no, exactly. If he's saying don't stop believing, you might as well have been at the Journey concert. The Killers, I don't know, maybe they can do a decent cover. I haven't seen them in a while, but absolutely, there's so many things going on right now. And you know what? Let's start right here. Let's start with the practice, because when we're talking about big stuff brewing in Montreal, Jesse, a lot of the talk is around this, and I already see a lot of our wonderful chatters in here. LFG Habs, oh yeah, salut les boys. Hello, everyone. Oh, this is going to be a bumping stream. I can feel it. But,
yes.
Let's start out hot, because when we're talking about the future of Montreal, at least the short-term future, well, Ivan Demidov's the long-term future. Patrik Laine right now is the short-term future. These guys have been working together day in, day out, and Laine is cranking these one-timers like normal. But even Ivan, Jesse, watching this footage, his one-timer's looking better already. I feel like he's learning from Laine. His whole body language has changed on the way he twists into his shot. I feel like they're working really well together. I could be overthinking this, but I don't think I am, because they're working so much together. They clearly have established a big relationship. I'm starting to think that it's, as much as we have thought, like maybe Bolduc will play with Kirby Dach and Demidov, I'm starting to very much convince myself that Laine and Demidov are going to play on the same line to start this year. And I feel like just this chemistry we're seeing already, that plays such a huge role in a line's performance anyway. I can't help but feel that this is going to be, these two guys, who knows will be the center, probably Kirby, but these two guys almost have to be on each other's wings. Or am I crazy for saying that?
No, I think it's a really good inference from this. Again, I wasn't too quick to read into it, seeing Laine and Demidov kind of practicing together. But the more that this is going on, the more it seems like, okay, there's a genuine friendship and chemistry getting built here, which is amazing considering that awesome, bromance that we have on that first line with, of course, Nick Suzuki and Cole Caufield there. What's interesting about this, though, Josh, is is it just me, or did Patrik Laine seem like maybe just a little bit cold to Demidov? And obviously in retrospect looks to not be the situation at all, but it's there was a lot of fanfare about Demidov coming over. And when Laine was asked away, he kind of shrugged it off not a big deal. Kind of remembering Patrik Laine was a pretty high draft pick himself there. But again, it seemed for whatever reason, Laine was really cool. Maybe it was just a little bit of tough brotherly older love a little bit, but it's anyway, any questions of them maybe not having good chemistry seems to be out the window, because Josh, can we go to that picture again of Demidov? Who did he look like with his stick up in the air like that? In the white, he looks like Laine. That's how Laine, that's a big part of his success with the big stick. He winds it up to 12 o'clock and comes down with it. And you're totally right. We're seeing a huge difference in Demidov right now on the one-timers, and even in some of these 3v3, which I think, we're going to get into just a little bit more the finishing ability is also showing from Demidov there, but he's becoming like that double threat where his shot is looking that much better, but he's also like equal playmaker. And I find it's very rare to see like players again of his, capabilities that can do just both so well, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Every time I see this, every time I see him wound up like that, I think of Laine. Like, Laine's a bit lower to the ground, which is interesting, but I see a left-hand one-timer from this spot. You know whose name pops into my head? And, it's probably not a good comp because, well, a little bit. I was going to say Mike Camilleri, which is kind of a crazy, pull. But that playoff run was no joke, brother. Like, that was, right? Like, anyway, it's just who I start to think of. But Demidov's obviously going to be a lot better than that. But, like, I see these flashes of guys who had great goal-scoring runs with the Montreal Canadiens. And that's amazing to see, whether it's Patrick Laine or whether it's Camilleri, whoever else, you think Slav as well, right? It's really, really cool to see, and you're absolutely right, like, to add this element to his game, something we already knew was pretty good, and we'll show these highlights again of this 3v3 in just a second, like, the way he's twisting his body into these shots now, like, I don't know, he took a couple during the season, but I think it's going to be even better. This is going to be awesome to watch. We got lots of chats about this. We're going to have to look at the chat right now, and I wanted to take a look. F. Trump here says, just maybe Laine will work out, but he needs to be skating. And look, I think that's a good point. I think Laine, like, we just got to see him on the ice. We got to just see what the preseason looks like. And that, to me, is just going to tell us all. These practice runs, hard to say. Once we're back ready, like at full NHL level hockey, that's when we'll know. And that's the tough thing. We have to almost wait to see, but the work ethic so far this summer has been amazing. Good to see you too, Frankie Day. Glenn says, hey boys, apparently Dach isn't close to getting on the Blades yet. I truly believe they're going to push and get that second line center, and high management keep the phone lines open. We'll get into McTavish, but I'm not crazy, Jess, right? We've seen videos of Kirby already on skates this summer, right? Yeah, so there are videos already of Kirby on skates this summer, so unless there was a setback I'm unaware of, he has been on Blades, so maybe there's been something else that we missed. But yeah, Dach and Newhook, if not traded, belong in the wing. High faceoff percentage means possession. And again, I want to remind people, Jesse, we were talking about if Newhook plays the 3C. Shout out to you, Mark. I see that there. Like Newhook had a 46% faceoff year over like a 55 game sample size. So I think that could be really interesting. But to get back here to Yvonne, I wanted to show this. I mean, look, it's a little 3v3 drill, but the way he just controls the game, like, I don't know. I know it's just a little kind of weak 3v3. They're just playing like 2-on-1 at the goal line. Obviously, they're supposed to score in this drill, but again, this is where he's putting some of these one-timers into practice and just making people not even look foolish, but like you can almost tell his eyes are deceiving. Is this Habs fans just looking at practice footage saying, oh my god, he's going to be the next great thing? Yeah, I don't care. I love to look at this. Of course it is. Like, yes, it's a little drill in practice, but watching everything in this footage is just amazing. Dobesh even looks like he's fooled, but everything makes it look easy, Jesse, and I think that's the one thing I gotta say. Ivan Demidov makes everything look easy, and I think that's one thing that even in these drills, that's not always the case with a lot of other players, but it is for him, and that's one of the more impressive aspects of this.
And again, his skill is really shining out in these tight quarters here, where again, you need that. And again, I think that this is a good drill still in close quarters to really kind of simulate how sometimes, obviously you don't got that much time to make the decisions here. It's kind of like Lane Hudson, where we clearly see him seeing one step ahead of the game all the time. He's clearly dictating what's going on. And we're seeing, again, equal finisher and playmaker. And that's what makes him, if you give him too much of an opportunity, he's going to rip it. If not, then he's obviously going to create lots of opportunities for his teammates as well. So I'm just loving what I'm seeing right now from Demidov. I just find he's doing everything out on the ice right now, but especially that work with those one-timers is amazing. But we got to give love to Laine as well, who looked very good in this 3v3. Like, his shot was looking amazing. And again, going back to this, it's like lots being made that's a contract here, and maybe that Patrick Laine is just showing up to the rink ahead of time because of that. But it's like, regardless of contract here, Josh, like, that's just what I want to see, because I feel like if Patrick Laine's out there putting in the work the offseason with that amount of skill, like, it's just pure math that he's going to show up and make an impact come regular season time. So for me, he's just doing all the right things right now, and just the good vibes of the locker room seem to be having that effect, on the team as a whole right now.
Good vibes are always very important, and again, Coach Marty's at the head of all of that. But again, winning gives even more good vibes. Losing can, hey, with this team, hey, we've gone through some losses, but the vibes never really seem that bad, which is another good thing too. And we're expecting some big things this year. So the vibes among everyone is really awesome. Love to see it. And I want to also just shout out Patu. It's been a great follow recently for these practice sessions at Brassard. This is where we got the 3v3 videos, where we got the screenshots for the Laine stuff. The video for the 3v3 is linked down below, and you can also go to their profile, give them a follow, because it's absolutely worth it, because watching these clips is really cool. So yeah, just wanted to give a shout out there. there. As I look back into the chat, hope this will be good for line chemistry, especially the middle lines. Joseph is pumped for the season. And again, people are saying Dach has a lot to prove. And you know what, Jesse? I have a poll up now. Will Demidov start the year on a line with Line A? And I know when we got Bolduc, we started to think about that. Right now, the poll is an overwhelming yes at 86%. And with that, is there any question who the center will be? Do you think that puts too much pressure on Kirby Dach? Honestly, I start to think like that almost relieves some pressure from Kirby Dach. I feel like people are thinking, oh, Dach, he's going to need to step up to play with these guys. But I think the fact that Kirby Dach, in all likelihood, coming off multiple huge injuries, is going to go into a season with one of the better goal scorers in the NHL on one wing in Patrick Laine, and one of the most skilled young stars in the league in Ivan Demidov on his other wing. I feel like that just allows Kirby to focus on playing his game, which is where he's been at his best. And I'm thinking this could actually be a great thing for him and maybe relieve some pressure as opposed to adding to it.
The good part about that as well is Kirby Dach would very much know that his role on that line is to play a physical one, which almost might be a good setup from Kent Hughes because, again, kind of like Slaf, with just bigger players in general, I would say, it's like they often need to get engaged physically for the rest of the game to come. Like, they know if he's playing with Demidov, with Laine, two very skilled guys, like he's going to have to be the ones on the boards, kind of creating some turnovers, getting loose pucks. From there. So that might be a good role for him. Kirby Dach, once again, it's going to be given every opportunity to take this second line role. However, again, I wouldn't rule out like a possible Bolduc taking that second line as well there. Remains to be seen there. But I just feel like, again, it's somewhere where we're knowing that we're still getting that goal scoring along with that physical play that we would need to go along with both Laine and Demidov. I'm just happy to see this, Josh, though, because the NHL.com had Laine like starting the season basically on the third line.
Yeah.
But kind of seeing them practice in this chemistry is kind of showing how like maybe, Laine could play higher up in the lineup. Like for me, like there is huge takeaways from all this because like for me to be Laine to be effective and like his future in Montreal basically like for me relies on him playing in a top six, having an effective role. I see if not playing bottom six, things don't go well. He doesn't get extended and just kind of continues to be a little bit of a journeyman. So this is really Laine's opportunity to just flip the script completely here going forward. Of course, we know that health is going to be such a big part of this, but I'm just loving to see the chemistry, Josh, because we know that the vibes were good, but if we could just get two of our most skilled players clicking out there on the ice, even though it didn't look like it last year, I think could make a huge dividends and pay huge, results next year.
Yeah, this is one of the more, like, I mean, there's so many exciting storylines going into this year, but like, for a team that just made the playoffs to have so many, like, yeah, we added a lot of talent, so the expectations are high, I suppose, but to have so many question marks is really an interesting thing because it's going to be like a storybook this year. It's going to be like, wow, here's chapter 1. How is this going to work? Chapter 2, how's this going to work? And all these, not conflicts, but like questions melding together, and just to see this version of the Montreal Canadiens is going to be super, super cool. I'm going to go back to the chat there. Mark saying, I'd keep Dach on the right wing, and WL saying, mind you, Dvorak, Anderson, and Guhle were on a line together. The overpriced, like, there's a lot of guys that could play together. There's so many options. Like, I still think it's possible Gallagher and Anderson are on the fourth line, which would be crazy because one of them has a 20 goal score. One of them is our best defensive players who's also very physical, but that's the kind of depth we got now. We got Canadian Dude and Oz. Good morning from Australia, of course, as always. Say 243 watching with only 39 likes. Well, hey, you know what? Let's get that number up. We're actually almost at 50 now, so thank you for tuning in. We got a lot of stuff to get into, including our boy Mason McTavish coming up. And if you're enjoying the daily Habs videos, weekly streams just like this, literally every single Monday, if you didn't know, if you're a new viewer, every Monday, 6:15 Eastern, we're here to talk Habs. And it's the best time of the week. I absolutely love it. So hit that free like button down below. It's one click. Helps us out a ton. Hey, helps you out. Promote this to other viewers who want to share in this wonderful community we have here. And let's quickly move on, Jesse, to Michael Hage and Aatos Koivu. Because you know what? I just want to take a second to say, how good was this summer showcase for us, right? Like, unbelievable, right? Aatos, Hage, Owen Protz, and even LJ Mooney, Jesse. I mean, first, before we even get into this, I feel like this is, if for a middle of summer kind of thing, I don't think I could have been left, like, any more impressed from our boys than what we got this summer.
No, it was just a complete takeover, especially, obviously, Mooney, Aatos, and Hage. Like, all three of them were arguably some of the best players from their team, really making it look like they're a lock to make it at the World Juniors. We saw a little bit of feistiness, Josh, and I'm here for it because some of that bad, like, this is going to be some good watching come Christmas, right? Because it'll be interesting to see how this saga kind of shakes out here, as obviously they're battling for the nations and the pride, but they know that those roster spots right away, the competition begins, already. So amazing showings, all in different ways from these players. Koivu and Mooney both kind of make me think of each other in a lot of ways, being the smaller guys with, a little bit of that compete, and obviously such high levels of skill. But again, the fact that we're like these picks, like besides Hage, again, for Mooney and Koivu, speaking of the size, like they're later round picks, to have them showing out and hanging right up there with Hage, who is, a first round guy, like for me, it's just absolutely unreal. And again, we're tipping our hats to the Habs drafting once again, because they're just continually like nailing out of the park, to the point where it's even us as Habs fans, where we're just impressed.
Yeah, like beyond impressed. Like, oh my goodness, trading up for Hage is looking amazing, but these later picks, like, these guys just kind of, the Habs knew what they were taking, and they're just like, oh, wait a minute. Like, these guys are actually, like, really good. Well, how did we get them this late? And you wonder. Now, Koivu, you can understand. Mooney, I get it. It's the size. Like, there's a reason these guys were taken late, but there's a certain pedigree to them. But I wanted to go with this here. This is linked down below as well. TSN was doing their projected lines for the World Juniors, and we'll start with Hage. Like, and I got the poll up now. Please go vote in it. Who was your Habs Summer Showcase MVP? Was it LJ Mooney from Team USA? Was it Michael Hage from Team Canada? Or was it Aatos Koivu from Team Finland? Sorry, Owen Protz. I know you were there too, but you weren't an MVP. You were a third pairing defenseman, but that doesn't mean we weren't noticing you. So shout out to physical Owen Protz. Yeah. But they have Hage here. Sure. They say, meanwhile, may have been Canada's MVP in the Summer Showcase. First round pick in 2024, scored in all 4 games he played. He had a real good camp, said Dale Hunter, their head coach. He was one of our top guys. He finished with 5 points, which was tied for the team lead in only 4 games. And Hage himself said, look, it's nice to get on the score sheet, but the biggest thing I just wanted to come here and show is how competitive I am. At times you can't see through video how competitive and how hard a guy is. I just wanted to come here this week and show that I'm a competitor, and I'll do anything it takes to win. And, they mentioned the run-in with Aatos Koivu, but again, Jesse, it's that mentality for a guy that was born to be a Montreal Canadian, to go out there, be ultra competitive, tie for the team lead in points in only 4 games, scored a goal in all 4 of those games. It's hard to say Michael Hage was not Team Canada's best player. And I know we say like, Koivu was maybe Finland's best player. Mooney might have been Team USA's. Hage was almost certainly Canada's. And that is maybe the most impressive thing here, especially considering some of the other names. And honestly, I'm okay with a third line of a Guhle, Desnoyers, and Hage. It just goes to show how deep Canada is right now for the future of this under-20 tournament. But like, there's a world where if Hage keeps up this competitive level, that's what actually gets you to those higher lines at the World Juniors. And I'm really excited to see it.
For sure. And that's why I'd have to say that he would probably be one of the better players for Team Canada at the Summer Showcase. Like, not only tied for the points lead with Cole Reshny there, but I would say that complete 2-way game. Like, Josh, we're coming for the skill when it's Hage, but we're really staying for the compete, which for me, which was what it was all about. Like, we knew that about him already. But again, these are the X factors, like guys like Hudson, dare I say Demidov, who I think, have that compete in them as well. So again, that's for Hage, like just the fact that obviously the offensive zone, we see him, what he's doing in the NCAA right now with Michigan, once, on the power play, so good just in that offensive zone. But the fact that he can play like that 200-foot game as well, like contribute defensively, for me is just absolutely unreal to see. And, obviously we have those high aspirations for him. We feel like he's just going to continue that great work he's doing right now.
Yeah, and again, like we're talking about a guy that is sort of in line to be one of these centers. Like we're kind of holding off saying, look, if a team is not matching the price we want to pay for a 2C, like, well, look, we got Michael Hage. And again, there's some people that project him to be more of a wing at the next level. Might happen. He could very well play center. We don't really know yet, but his game is improving day by day. The compete level is there, and the drive to become a Montreal Canadian, absolutely is there. And that's maybe one of the most important things. So it's really, really awesome. And I want to take a look at the chat before we get to Aatos Koivu. And there's a lot of talk about McTavish. And again, I promise you guys, we will get to Mason McTavish. People are throwing their trade ideas in there. Might revisit your comments if you send Mason McTavish trade ideas. And again, look, if you're a channel member or you super chat, we will read them in priority, but we're going to get to that a little bit later, so just hold on tight. But Mark Quintal saying, thanks for the start time, Josh. I'm new here, but loving it. Oh, thank you, Mark. Shout out to you for being here. Been a Habs fan since I saw my first game at the Forum in the late 70s. It was like a rock concert, and I was hooked. It's still a rock concert. If you go to the Bell Center today, even the Place Bell in Laval for those games, the playoff was an unbelievable atmosphere. Thank you for being here, Mark. Really cool to see you. Speaking of Mark, we got Mark Orr as well. Hello, all you awesome Habs fans. Keep the faith and go Habs go. Mark Orr with one of the best performances I've ever seen in our last channels member meeting. For those of you who were there, I don't want to spoil anything, Jesse, but it was absolutely wonderful. So good to see you Oh, as always. Let's get to Aatos Koivu, who is currently leading the poll for our channel members here for who they think was the MVP for the Habs at the Summer Showcase. You can see here, TPS, TPS, Turku, they said Finland's under-20 national team played a strong tournament in the Summer Showcase. The Young Lions won 4 out of their 5 games. Aatos Koivu was the tournament's top goal scorer with 6 goals. Not only was he the top goal scorer, Jesse, but as you can see via Quant Hockey here, tied for the tournament lead in points. He had 7 points, that 1 assist in his 5th game. Propelled him to the number 1 spot before Jack Berglund caught up later in the day. 7 points in 5 games with 6 goals. As a lot of people in chat are saying, this guy was the biggest surprise of the tournament. I don't even think just from a Habs perspective, but from like a general prospect perspective. We know the name Koivu, but for him, this guy who was a 3rd round pick to come out here and do this, all of a sudden just take the world by storm, like, whoa, like, where did that come from? The concerns that were there when we drafted him, like, he seems to have improved on all of them. He seems to be bigger, he's working, he's checking a bit more, he's back checking, he's forward checking a bit more, using his height a little bit better, he's hopefully bulking up a bit more, his shot is as advertised, ripping one-timers like Laine. What is there not to like about Koivu? The dude has just become, like, randomly one of the more exciting prospects in the Habs' whole system, let alone for Finland itself, honestly.
Loving the comparison to Laine. Yeah, another guy from Finland who can really shoot the puck here. Good to know. So happy to have him in the system. And again, like, speaking of a summer showcase, like, this is exactly what Aatos did here. Completely just showing out. And I was just so happy to see, Josh, like, not only was it the shot, but also, like, the feistiness, getting into it with Hage a little bit. He wasn't stopping there. It's even like the 200-foot game. He was playing center. And he wasn't just in the offensive zone. Like, this guy was showing his compete, again, all throughout the lineup. So that's the thing, like, that we can say about Hage, that we can say about Koivu, and even Moody. Like, all of them obviously have that compete. Like, they have that high offensive side of the game, but really that full picture. I don't know if this is just that next generation of player, but Josh, I'm really here for it. I don't know if it's just that next wave. Like, even when we're covering this draft this year, like, we've noticed a big thing that's come up with players is the compete. Yeah. Players now realize more than ever how they need to bring it. The NHL is more competitive than ever, and just having that good shot, it's not good enough. You're going to need to do it in other ways out on the ice right now. So just the fact that he's doing this is absolutely amazing. And to give a little bit of context on Aatos Koivu, like, again, following in the footsteps of, you know, former Habs legend and captain, Saku Koivu. Koivu wasn't like, Saku wasn't a big man himself, nope. Right? He was 5'10", 182 pounds. Like, Aatos, if he just continues to put on some weight here, you know, a couple more inches, like, again, he's not far away, and it only seems right that he would follow in the footsteps of his father, right? In so many different ways. So again, just loving what we're seeing right now. Again, helping that center depth, which we can tell is still very important for us. And I think also we got to say about Aatos, and we're showing some love on this young man right now, is like, he was playing with like some swagger and some confidence, playing at that center position. Again, like, the puck just followed him. Like, he knew where to go on the ice as well, but like all good goal scorers, the puck just found a way of really just following all around the ice. And, you know, he was really making the best of it, you know, no pucking around.
Yeah, no pucking around at all. Never. He never does. And no, it's absolutely true. I mean, the dude, like, again, that sense that IQ and compete, as I saw Sheldon mention in chat there, those are becoming increasingly important for every prospect. Again, like you said, the NHL game, like, so many guys now are so skilled at a baseline. There's certain aspects that now separate you, and that compete level, that IQ to be able to be out there in all situations, it has always been valuable. Not saying it wasn't valuable before, but now that all situations type of guy is so valuable, especially in the playoffs, right? And that's what teams are really loving. So love that. It's like from Aatos Koivu and from Michael Hage, like, I don't know. I don't think I could have been happier with the performance. It was amazing. We see Mark Cantel definitely need more crunchers like Protz, and I don't think Struble has the edge that Arber, Xhekaj, Florian Xhekaj, and Josh Anderson have. Oh, I got that from just the initials. Marco was saying it was fun showing your faces. Yeah, show some love to our boys at Habs Digest. Oh, Joseph Donovan, thank you so much. Living up to his name. Mark saying, I make a point to see at least 2 Habs games per season. Long flight to the 514. Hey, you know what? I'd love to see some Habs games this season. Just moved out of Quebec, but hey, you know what? Might have to go back and take a look. And we also, we got Canadian dude and saying Koivu could be a real dark horse. We also got Dolphin coming in with a super chat. Dolphin, thank you so much for the tuning. Really appreciate that. The $2. Not everything's huge, guys. Keep up the good work. Well, you know what? Something big is brewing in Montreal today. It's not huge. It's big. And you know what? Things like as a fan, we get so excited for these things. You can see it on our face, like we are here to tell you about all the best things because the Montreal Canadiens are beyond exciting. There is something huge brewing in Montreal. I'm not shy to admit it. I'm a biased fan, and that's exactly what you're getting here. That excitement, that shared excitement with everyone in chat. That's why we're here. That positivity, baby. It's unbelievable to see what Montreal is doing, and it's unbelievable to have fans like you, Dolphin. Really appreciate you being here, willing to give us donations. It's absolutely amazing. Joseph, so thank you again for the $2. Joseph saying, I'm out, boys. Chat, have a good night. Mod out. That's all right. Thank you, Joseph. I mean, Jesse, this is what I'm saying. Like, I feel like every day, even when the news is slow, at the end of July, there's vacation, there's Kent Hughes out there vibing to the Killers, and Jake Evans and Patrick Laine, Suzuki are all there together too. There's still stuff to talk about, and the fact that people are showing up all this time, and like the fact that I'm the most excited for a season of Habs hockey I've been in like a decade is just a testament to like this team, what management has done, and how the fans are hyping everything up for us. I'm so excited.
For sure. And we just got to catch our breath here because like this next season is going to be it's going to be a roller coaster. Like the amount of just great hockey that we had such great storylines to begin with, like even just like Slaf and watching his development, that first line coming together. But you start throwing in like Hudson and Demidov, like that whole development on top of that great nucleus that we have already, as well as like Dobson. Like it's going to be absolutely incredible here going forward. Like Josh, like I'm almost feeling, I don't know if like the way that Kent Hughes is making this D Core right now though, like I don't know if he wants to like outscore the competition. If that's like the type of hockey that we're going to be looking to play right next year, is this type of run and gun. If we're looking at like, unless we change our D Core to be a little bit more defensive, like it's kind of looking that way, which is a little bit ballsy, but I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we're talking about the D Core, we got to talk about what Thomas Hickey just said on the NHL Network. He had his fifth. Like, I don't know if you guys saw this, but like, this is what I'm saying. Like, we got the hype train going out of control. His OG reactions, and I disagree. Everything's huge because the rebuild's exciting. This is what I'm saying. Like, people are taking note of what's happening in Montreal and his reasoning for this. Fifth, by the way, NHL Network. I don't even know if I'd have his fifth, but I'd have us close because his biggest thing was not just the Dobson acquisition, because the rest of the D-Core didn't really change, but he said it's going to be the year-over-year growth. And when you look, Lane Hutson had a Calder trophy, yet somehow online he's still disrespected. Like he breaks scoring records. People are like, well, yeah, but he's just scoring like a forward. I'm like, is that not impressive to you? Like, what? How is he plays like a winger a slight on him? I don't get that. Anyway, but Lane Hutson there, and now Noah Dobson coming in, a guy who has a 70-point season. Cayden Guhle, if you get a fully healthy year out of him, is going to be one of the best value contracts in the league. Alex Carrier is a stabilizing force. Mike Matheson, while he's still here, is very important to the PK. We saw that in the playoffs more than anything. And then Xhekaj and Struble, the physicality. Every single one of these guys, I would say except for maybe Matheson, is like probably going to take another nice step forward this next year. Maybe Carrier too. I think as long as he stays around where he was, that's good. But honestly, like when you look at that, fifth, Jesse, I mean, I can't be mad. Like, and I could absolutely see an argument for it. And it's really cool that like, it's not just us saying this. It's just NHL analysts talking about, look how good they are. Look at what the future potential looks like. And that's, I think, what you got to look at for Montreal. One of the hardest things to evaluate is how guys are going to look in their development curve for the next year. But honestly, if you think all our guys are going to take a step forward, I can't really argue too much.
And it's funny when we're looking at this list, like it's often like a good example of like cup favorites every year. Like this often bets teams in the league in terms of the D-Core. That's how much it matters in terms of how this really translates to that on-ice finishing of the year. We know Capitals almost winning the President's Cup, Stars, Panthers, Avalanche always in the mix there for Lord Stanley every year. So again, this is a very big, great look for the Montreal Canadiens. Very promising, again, about the future and what this means for this team going forward, which for me is absolutely just through the roof of what they can kind of accomplish here. Because, like, again, they're at fifth, but, like, we thank Lane Hutson for getting us here. This was just his rookie season. Like, he's just getting started. Reinbacher, I feel, is going to be, like, we kind of forget on him because of all the other great deeds. Like, Reinbacher's a really slept on pick. Like we're going to be so thankful. Like at some point, just like that genius of Kent Hughes, we're just going to be in so much more appreciation. I feel like Josh, like there's a world where we can pass the Capitals, like, and we start kind of climbing up, and obviously with a lot of our young guys still coming into their own. I do believe, however, the Montreal Canadiens are still going to need to focus on preventing less goals against.
Yeah.
It was still an issue with this team, which is, again, not to harp on the Matheson too much, but my radar, it's a little bit of somebody who follows this team very closely. It's like, okay, This is something we need to take advantage of unless we're trying to outgun them. Because like Dobson, I said, okay, I'm okay with this trade, but we need to kind of balance this out right now because bringing in another guy to a team where we want to prevent some less goals against, for me, isn't, the full equation, which just really makes me think that Kent Hughes isn't quite done. He knows this. He's aware of it. And he's going to balance things out on this decor and this roster before the puck even drops.
Yeah, I mean, there's a world where it happened before the puck drop. I still think it very well could too. And like, even if not, I don't even care because I think that he's going to figure it out one way or the other. And I think that's just something that's been proven true time and time again so far. It's like, all right, what's our big need here? Right-hand D-man. We waited until the right time and we got one for a great price at a good extension. Okay, great. 2C, he's going to strike when the time is right. He's not just going to strike to strike. Like, there were some guys out there we could have gotten, but Kent himself said, look, we looked. Nothing really piqued our interest, right? There's not the right offer out there, so we're going to wait. And that's the great thing, the patience. And it's going to be so amazing. And we got a nice poll up there now. Do you agree that Montreal's the top 5 D Core? We'll revisit that in a minute, but I want to go back into the chat here and just have a look. Have a look at what some people are saying, because I think the D Core discussion is very interesting. Mark saying, everyone who's a biased Habs fan, give a shout out. Yeah, I mean, we're all biased Habs fans. I love it. Alexis Leton says, you guys have been keeping me alive with this Habs content. Next season will be electric. I agree. Thank you so much. Mark Orsing, you went with Koivu in the poll, not because Hage did not play amazing, but we expected him to. Koivu was not expected to stand out, and he did. And you know what? That's a narrative thing for MVPs. I'm down for it. It happens all the time. If the narrative's there, that's why they get it. Vision Montreal says, I photographed the LSHL. That was that little, I don't know if it's charity, that little hockey tournament a few of our guys were playing in. And last week, Veleno fell awkwardly. He came back at the bench on his last shift and broke his stick on the bench. He was really pissed off. He might be injured. Adding McTavish or a similar face-off winning center and subtracting Matheson checks all the boxes. I agree. Well, that's interesting, Jesse. We might have a little thing here. I haven't heard much about a Veleno injury. If Veleno is injured, though, I mean, obviously that's rough. But I think he was more of that backup guy. If Veleno starts the season injured, do you think it's Beck or Kaiden who maybe come in and steal that 4C spot right away? Again, like we said, we have these guys because injuries are inevitable. Not all of your forwards are going to play a full 82 games. But I think that's the good thing about where Montreal is right now in the rebuild. Is like, you bring in a guy like Veleno that projected to maybe be your 4C, but even if he can't do it for whatever reason, you have guys ready to fill the void. And honestly, like, as much as that sucks for Veleno, and I want to see him healthy and playing for, his hometown Montreal team, I'm really happy with the position we're in, that we have guys that can fill that void.
For sure. And there's just going to be so much competition up and down this lineup, even on like the fourth line where you wouldn't really expect or think that we need as much. Again, Kent Hughes, knowing that injuries happen, is well prepared for this. That being said, Veleno was on the ice today with the guys over on Brassard, so he is kind of back at her right now. But just that depth through the lineup, I think it's just going to be so important here going forward. But I'm not gonna lie, like, I love Beck, I like Kaiden, I want to see them get their reps, but obviously what Kent Hughes and Martin St. Louis are saying right now is they're gonna need to deserve every bit of ice time that they get right now.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's not gonna come easy. And again, like, if you look at Veleno's games played, and again, he seems fine, he's on the ice today, but like, you never really know with nagging injuries, whatever. Like, even if he does get hurt or someone else does get hurt in our center core, like, there could be someone that has to fill up the space, but like, it's not just going to get given to you. Veleno's a guy who's played like most of the games in every season for the past few years. Like, yeah, he's not amazing, but like, he's a proven NHL talent, so it's very, very interesting. We got some more channel members in here. Adding Price's contract with a prospect or draft pick is worth it. Hey, I think he will be moved after September 1st. His bonus is paid. Really excited to see that happen. Not excited to see Carey Price leave the organization, but again, at this point, he's still a Hab for life. No matter what team he's papered to, he's still a Hab, so it doesn't really bother me. Mark Orson, we're almost top 5, but not quite yet. We very well could be now. John Smith, channel member, saying evening, gents, evening, John, good to see you. Sid Yagi says, give the boys a thumbs up, people. Hey, we're almost at 100. That'd be awesome if we could get 9 more. Thank you so much for that, Sid. Really appreciate it. You know what, Jesse? Moving on from the top 5 D Core, I think it's time. I think it's time we get to our boy, Mason McTavish. And look, there's a lot of talk this offseason, and I talked about this in the video yesterday, but I want to just revisit this now, because it was Daily Faceoff, it was Anthony DeMarco, and it feels like every time Mason McTavish kind of vanishes from the radar, he just kind of pops back up. Because like we've said time and time again now, it feels like it's been weeks of saying, like, Jeff Marek said he's the most available he's ever been, and he's just, Frank Serafali, like, hey, I'd keep an eye, because we don't know. We remember the Zegras contract issue where it took him ages to sign, and then it wasn't really a big contract, it was more of a bridge deal. Mason McTavish could very well still sign with Anaheim. But again, as Anthony DeMarco said, the Canadiens are a club that I'd reckon would be keeping close tabs on McTavish's availability. And why not? Because Montreal every team knows we're at the center of that 2C hunt. And the good thing about that is that every team knows that if they have an asset that they're not 100% sold on, Montreal is going to be willing to pay a lot to fill this need. Because honestly, I think in the grand scheme of NHL trades, we got Dobson for cheap. The RFA status was a bit, weird, but like that trade, if he's 2 years into the 8-year deal, would have cost a lot more, for example, right? But like we're in a position now to finally say, here's our big bag of goodies. We want Mason McTavish, which leads to the question, Jesse. First off, these talks picking up, like, do you feel Montreal is going to make this move before the season starts? I know we've asked this question before. The more we get close to it, I really feel we are. And two, like, who do you see us trading for? I don't know if I have one particular name. I don't even know if I do. But I know the fans have, and we'll get to some of their ideas soon. But, like, again, I just feel like it's picking up day after day. And I can't wait to see, even if McTavish resigns in Anaheim, I don't care. I just want to see the conclusion of this because I'm invested now.
I mean, he's the new golden goose. He's replaced Crosby. It's the golden goose that Kent Hughes is really on the hunt for right now. What's interesting, Josh, is that like the Ducks have so many good young forwards. We're talking about Carlson, Seneca. We're talking about McQueen. So many young guys, right? So many coming up besides Kreider, besides Granlund that they've recently brought into the team. It's like it seems like they're very forward heavy within the top six. And really, if you look at the D core, like Pat Verbeek is somebody, he likes his physical D-men, like Trouba. Like, for me, there's a world where, like, Maston could really fit in. Obviously, we're going to need to give a lot more. It's like, I'm curious to see what that cutoff is, but it seems like Verbeek is going to want some impact players. There's rumors he's trying to make the playoffs as soon as possible there. So, yeah, I feel like Maston, I could very much see, like, a world of having somebody like a Kapanen being in there, potentially a guy like, a Josh Anderson, somebody who I feel like Pat Verbeek would like, and then definitely some picks maybe to go along with that. It'd be interesting to see what Kent Hughes would be the drop-off there of like, okay, is it first? Does he feel comfortable giving 2 firsts? Again, we have to remember in the Dobson trade, there was 2 firsts involved in that with a pretty good roster play in Heineman. You have to feel like that's a pretty good signal for that, but I probably way that he'd probably have to give even a little bit more for Dobson there, obviously being a center, being so important position here. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like there's a little bit of just the stars could align in that way. In the fact that I think the Ducks could use some help on defense. While at the same time, they have such a forward. So them kind of, playing out from a position of strength there. That being said, it's going to be very interesting. Pat Verbeek, I feel, is like probably the one hang up in all this. I feel like the asking cost might just be something that Kent Hughes is not comfortable with. Something like a Slav going the other way, which even though, it's just, I just don't see Kent Hughes really doing that. He's kind of had a vision. He's got close with these guys. And as much as he wants a Mason McTavish, I don't believe that he'd be quite willing to do something like that. I think rightfully so. As much as we want this, we want to do it for the right cost. What are you paying for this, Josh?
Yeah, it's tough, right? Like, if I'm looking at the roster, there's certain young guys, objectively, like, if you look at a value and what McTavish could bring, there's a lot of guys that are worth it, right? And I mean, but then again, like, at the same time this offseason, a guy like Bolduc, yeah, he doesn't quite have the value of McTavish, but I don't think he's, like, that far behind in terms of value, and we got him 1-for-1 from IU in terms of a team need. So, like,
fair.
I think I don't see this happening. I don't see us trading Reinbacher, but something along those lines I would see Anaheim asking for, right? Reinbacher plus something else, maybe, because McTavish is an established center, which is hard to get, but Reinbacher is a mobile right D, which is hard to get. I think Montreal would be like, I think I kind of want to keep him, and Anaheim would be like, yeah, we want to keep Mason. In terms of actual lineup players, again, like someone like a Kirby could very well, like I could see that happening. Just because, again, he is somewhat proven. He's like a little bit older, but he's got that injury history. And again, he's also due for a contract after this season, but it might gel a bit better with Anaheim's young core. But then again, does that really fix their problem? Like, why would you downgrade, in a sense, like McTavish for Dach? So if they want roster players, like I think Matheson would be a good player to send, but do they want an expiring Matheson? So I think at the end of the day, it might just be a lot of futures, a lot of assets they could flip somewhere else. Because again, like the people in chat are saying, like if you offer sheet them, the compensation is what, first, second, or third. But any offer sheet Anaheim's going to match. And that brings me to this question then. So in terms of roster guys that I wouldn't give, actually, let me go back and take a look. People saying the offer sheet is not needed. I completely agree. We got Mark Quintal saying Dach, Matheson, Waugh, and a second rounder for Mason McTavish. Something like that. I could see that, right? Dach, Matheson, Waugh. You get a solid prospect in Waugh, an NHL established guy in Dach, and Matheson can give you some good help for 1 year and a second rounder. But then Anaheim might just say, like, yeah, but, McTavish clears everyone. So it's tough, right? And I want to just go back and see if I can find any of these old ones here, because I'm just trying to see if I can get back here. And I said I'd come back to it. You know what? I'm just going to ask again for you guys to send your mock trades for Mason McTavish, because I couldn't quite go back. But I want to point this out. And someone said, look in the chat. By the way, I'm going to just end this poll here because, most people said the Habs have a top 5 D Core. Good to see that. But Mason McTavish, Jesse, again, he's an RFA. So he needs a contract. So trading for him means trading for his rights. How much are we actually willing to pay him? Because would Montreal actually be willing to give him more salary than Anaheim would be? And I don't think we would be, right? I think we'd be about the same. Anaheim has a lot more cap space than we do. I think Montreal is a better spot to sign if you're Mason McTavish, because they're a little further along in the rebuild. There's a clear spot for you to fill next to some amazing talent. And I think, again, the team chemistry is great. Nothing against Anaheim. They seem to have a bright future, but how much do you want to pay him for that? Are you talking over $9 million for your 2C? Because that might be what other teams would be willing to offer sheet for. It gets to a question mark, right? Do we sign him to a bridge deal and then hope to sign him to a big extension if he's great after? What kind of contract would we agree to that Anaheim wouldn't sign him to in the first place that would make them trade away his rights? So, I don't know, Jesse, would you pay over $8 million a year on a long-term McTavish extension? Because I feel like we haven't really discussed that particular aspect of actually signing him if we get his rights.
I take Slav's contract and do a slight overpay on that, just because of the fact of playing the center role and the fact that the cap has went up since that time. So that I would probably use as my parameters. That being said, if that's what you're signing him for, Josh, are you okay with Matheson, a Kaiden, and then a first for McTavish with his contract situation? Would you do that?
Yeah. I would.
You think? Yeah. Do you feel the Ducks would accept that, or do you think they want more?
I think they want more, because I think they always would want to negotiate for more, just because Kaiden's a very what if, and I think his ceiling is maybe a 3C based on what we've seen now. Again, he can always improve. Matheson, we know what he is, but it's 1 year of control until he heads to UFA, and there's no guarantee he re-signs, right? So you could bargain with an extension for him, but does he really fit your long-term goals with some of your solid defensemen? A first-round pick is a first-round pick. I think they'd ask for probably 2 firsts in that deal. But again, it all depends on the leverage, right? If McTavish does not want to sign there, that's one aspect. We don't know if that's the case. Or 2, if the Ducks don't want to pay him what he's worth. If it's the Ducks not wanting to pay him what he's worth, I think they can extract more value. But if it's McTavish not wanting to play there, I think it's a different thing. But again, seeing what the Dobson trade went for, 2 firsts and Emil Heineman, 2 firsts, a roster guy, Mike Matheson, Oliver Kapanen could be good. But I might even bump up Oliver Kapanen to an Owen Beck. Because I think he's a higher tier prospect. And I think something like that could actually maybe persuade Anaheim, but it's so tough, especially since Pat Verbeek doesn't seem to open his mouth very much, and neither does Montreal. So it's really hard to say on what scale we're talking here in terms of an offer.
For sure. And I think probably the 2 first would probably be a little bit more likely. It's getting close to what Kent Hughes, but I don't think it's still over that line. Yeah. Just a little bit of speculation of what we are hearing from the McTavish situation is it's more that they don't want to quite pay him what he thinks what he's worth here. Yeah. And that's the huge holdup, which could be thinking that this isn't going to be a good situation long-term. They might come to something short-term, but that long-term sort of relationship is potentially out of the window here. So again, that's just making it that much more likely that this does happen. Just Josh, just the one thing in this situation that was obviously, if McTavish is getting traded, Kent Hughes just make sure that we're the team that gets him. Because it would just, obviously, that's what would hurt the most is if he does end up going to another team and we don't get him, considering how bad that we do, you just have to feel like we have the assets, that combination of roster players as well to make this happen. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, again, that depends on the return that they get. If they trade him to another team for a blue chip prospect and a couple firsts, it's okay. Well, in that case, if it would have looked like after he moved that it would have cost Montreal Reinbacher 2 firsts and Beck, I would be okay, well, I understand now, right? I get it, right? But I don't think he's going to get that value. And again, when you're looking at a guy like McTavish, I really like this guy, but no, not him. But 52 points in 76 games, you have to wonder what McTavish wants, right? Because again, we don't know if he wants a bridge, which could be a 3-year bridge. That's what Noah Dobson did, don't forget. And then he had a 70-point season in that bridge, right? So he could want a 3-year bridge deal to maximize his... Now, you're buying up more UFA years then, and then your next contract is later. Maybe he wants to bet on himself, right? If you just base it off this production, I think you're absolutely bang on with a Slav-ish comparison. He does play center, but he's a bit further along in his development, getting 20 goals, 50 points. Something Slaf did as like a 19, 20-year-old, right? So as a winger, not as a center. So it's like he's a center, but he's a little older than Slaf, getting similar numbers, but also less ice time and on a worse team. So it's like, it's hard to really, but I think you're absolutely right. Like somewhere there around Slaf's contract, 7.5 a year, I'd love. But the question is, what's Anaheim willing to do? Because it's a big gamble. The Slav contract, when we signed it, was considered a gamble, right? And that's fair play, right? And look, it's looking like it should turn out fine, especially with the rising cap. But like, if you're Anaheim, they might only be offering him 6-7 million per year on like an 8-year extension. Again, you look at Minnesota. I know Marco Rossi is smaller and he's 5'9", blah, blah, blah. They're offering him like $5 million a year. So teams now, I think, are seeing like, maybe we don't want to go for that big $8 million extension. I think that's where Montreal can come in. It'd be a very bold move, like you said, Jesse. Chad here is kind of all over the place, but most people are saying he wouldn't be good value at like $8.5, $9 million. I think if you can get him at 7.58 over an 8-year deal, I'm down for it. But maybe the final question of this, because there's so many interesting discussions to be had there. We could go on all day. Would you trade for his rights if you knew he was asking for a 3-year bridge deal? And would you accept that? Taking him not to UFA, just to RFA there at the age of like 25 or 26. There is a risk with that because you have to pay him a lot at the end of that. But like, would you be willing to do that? Or would you really only make this trade if he signs that kind of big 7-8 year deal that like aligns with the core that you have right now?
I would still do that for this 3-year bridge deal. The reason for that is I think he would come to Montreal and then he'd really like what we're doing, how we're developing it, not just for right now, but also for that, for the future as well, of just that consistent success year in, year out. I think that he's not alone in noticing that Montreal's truly building something special right now. So it's probably a situation for him where he can get, take advantage of the rising cap, but at the same time, take success, of being part of a winning team like we know the Montreal Canadiens are truly shaping into right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I want to go through a couple of these things here that people have sent in just to give you guys, just to read them out. And maybe we can go quick fire, maybe yes, no, we'll see. But Mark Quintella says, how about a first-round pick plus Matheson and Roy for Mason McTavish and Price's contract? I don't see Anaheim taking Price's contract. I still think it's going to be San Jose. Anaheim could. I just think that's a negative asset. First, Matheson and Roy for McTavish. Very similar to your offer, Jesse. Is that something you would do?
What was it, Matheson? What else?
Basically the same thing you said. So a first, Matheson, but instead of Kapanen, it's Joshua Roy.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Again, I think probably the 2 first, though, would probably be needed again.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark saying, agree, Jesse, pay 7.5 mil. Ducks don't need Kapanen. They have plenty of centers. I'm not a big fan of Matheson, but if we trade him, we have to hope for no injury. Matheson, Kapanen in the first would be fine. And yeah, I would toss in a second first if that's what it took. Yeah, so it seems to be pretty on the go. Dolphin said, Lego just posted bad news and thumbnail Doc and medic sign. I don't know what that's about. We'll see. Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, people are saying Doc has no trade value. Some people are saying he does. So it's really, really interesting. There's a lot of people, it's all over the place. But again, I think if we use the Noah Dobson trade as like a benchmark, I think that's fair. Mark Orr saying, if he wants more than Anaheim thinks he's worth, why would we want to? What do they know that we do not? I think it's maybe more that Montreal is maybe more willing to take a bigger risk. But I think that is a fair question, Jesse. Does that concern you at all? That maybe like, hey, McTavish like, I want this much, Anaheim won't pay me. Do you think there's a world where Montreal actually would be like, yeah, I mean, I'll pay you more? Because it is a bit of a gamble, but I don't know. I feel like if a trade, I think that's kind of a moot point to some extent, because if a trade goes down, clearly Kent Hughes doesn't care about it. And if Kent Hughes doesn't care, I don't care.
For sure. And for me, there's not really too many red flags here. I think that he's doing pretty good production playing on that third line. He's a young guy. I feel like it's going to go up. Plays a 200-foot game as well. So again, with, the cap being where it is, I think it's the type of player where, I feel comfortable taking a bet on that type of player for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I love this kind of discussion. Over 400 people here. Hey, while you're here, if you don't mind just hitting that like button on your way out, it's just one click, you see a number go up. It means the world to us, sincerely. Like, it's so easy and it helps us a ton. But just you showing up, chatting today, it was amazing. Thank you all for being here. Any final thoughts, Jesse? I'm just excited to see some news happen this week. We'll check on that Kirby Dach stuff now in a second, because not totally sure what that's about. But yeah, I mean, what a fun stream. So many people in here. Appreciate every single one of them for showing up.
Definitely. We appreciate the support. This is our first live after hitting 22,000. Yes, and even as like we're just getting to those bigger numbers as well, like we just want to take a time to just like appreciate like each and every one of you, because it's obviously without all of your support, like we wouldn't be hitting those numbers. So even as we're hitting 22,000 beyond, we're very cognizant and appreciative for every sub that it's taken us to get there. We really appreciate you so much and the support you've given the channel.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And I did just check out the Kirby stuff because for those of you that are sticking around, I will go check this. I'm trying to take a look at it, but when he came to Montreal for his captain's wedding, Kirby Dach couldn't or wouldn't skate with his teammates. I swear I saw him on the ice, though. Am I crazy?
We saw him. He was booking it.
Yeah, I swear. Anyway, let's see. I don't really see anything here. Apparently, knee operation. Kirby Dach not yet back on his feet. But I'm trying to read through this. This is from dose.ca. Past 730 days, not the point this morning. Dach has earned a reputation as a fragile player. Sure. Let's just say injuries haven't spared Dach. In fact, injuries haven't spared... Okay. Jeff Gordon can't use. May tell us Kirby Dach is fine, but we still have our doubts, especially when you consider that with the Canadiens' recent addition. Last week, I wondered where Kirby was. We've seen plenty of Habs players skating at the CN complex this summer, but not Kirby Dach. I had to work like a monk to catch a glimpse of him in a video film at Nick Suzuki's wedding. Yesterday, I was told that Kirby Dach was spending the summer in Edmonton with Cayden Guhle. Dach's from Saskatchewan, Guhle's from Alberta, and Dach was still in rehab. I repeat, 5 months after his most recent knee operation, some 40 days before he's still not recovered and ready to play. Good informant spotted him in an Edmonton gym doing squats with loads that look like the ones I used to take when I went to Aatos Fitness, not the one at NHL. It's rehab. It's knee rehab. Any knee injury, you're still going to... I had ankle surgery, and I was in rehab for months to get back to... I feel like this is... I don't know. Sorry, dose.ca, but I feel like that's maybe an exaggeration. I don't know if I'm crazy, Jesse, but should I go see? I'm going to go check just real quick to make sure we did see him skating, but I would not worry about the Kirby Dach stuff. Based on what I read there, I think it's probably okay.
Yeah, no, we have seen him out on the ice for sure, getting those reps in. And not only that, he was looking really good while he was out there. I don't think we need to worry about this too much, brother.
No, absolutely not. And Jesse, I hope you don't mind if I flash a video in front of your face for just a second, because this is the video capture. Actually, I can't do that. That's my bad. I'm going to see if I can do this here. You know what? We're just going to do this on the fly because Habs on Reddit is absolute. I'm just going to retweet this right now because, yeah, as we said in the live, we've seen him skating. Lol. Okay, just gonna retweet that. I'm gonna share this right now, just so you fans can just so you see this is okay. So we're gonna do a display capture, and we're just gonna and we're gonna go to this one, and yeah, here you go. Let's move this. Whoops, sorry everyone. This is getting a little complex here. Anyway, you can see, just FYI, here's Kirby Dach skating with Ivan Demidov and Mesar a month ago. Yeah! This is what I'm saying, right? Like, I don't understand. Look at him. Look at him. I don't know what that tiptoe is, but it doesn't really matter. Like, Kirby's out there. He's fine. Anyway, again, blown a bit out of proportion. Not to say the report's false or whatever, Jesse, but I love it. Kirby's ready to go. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to see him back on the ice and healthy and ready to go.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for tuning in today. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Thank you. We're 8 likes away from 150. Really appreciate it. As Jesse said, all of you being here. Kirby Dach seems to be okay. Really, really happy about it. But hey, tune in every single day. If there is an update, we got your back every single day with videos. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch y'all in the next one.